Fantasy playoffs are here. What's going on? I'm Dustin. Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk, Week 14 waiver wire. Hopefully your teams are gearing up, getting ready for the playoffs. If you don't have a bye, we'll get you ready for Week 14. Before we get into it, thank you to our sponsor, ProjectorPeople.com. Everything projectors, they're the people to go check out if you're trying to get a man cave set up or do an outside theater, any of that fun stuff. Certified dealers, and they offer lifetime tech support. Click on the link in the description. Just before Christmas, if you're looking for projectors, check them out. So I shoot this before Monday night, and I rank these people based on 0.5 PPR, and I rank them in order of how I would pick them up there available in my league. And I start with the pickup of the week. This week I'm going with Mike Davis. So this guy has looked good. And my pickup of the week is the guy that's going to get the most attention in terms of the waiver wire, and he was only owned in 10% of leagues. And I think that's going to skyrocket because he's going to be a flex option from here on out the rest of the way. Their schedule isn't terrible, and they're involving him in the passing game and the run game. At this point, I think he's definitely the one to own. A report just came out that Carson's way ahead of schedule, but I don't think he'll be back in time to help you for the fantasy playoffs. And Mike Davis, I think, is a great pickup right now. He could have some value down the stretch. Let's take a look at some other running backs. Still not enough people respecting Rex Burkhead, only on 70% of leagues at this point. If he's still available in your league, you need to scoop him. I mean, if Hogan comes back, that could change that dynamic a little bit in terms of what the Patriots have been doing lately, but I don't see them really taking too many touches away from Burkhead or Deion Lewis. Kenyon Drake, amazing game with him. When he got featured, he performed well. Tough matchup against Denver. Miami in general just looked really good week 13. So if he's still available, you're probably going to want to scoop him. I think at this point, he's clearly the guy to own between him and Williams. Aaron Jones, I want to talk about, only owning 40% of leagues. He was dropped, obviously, after getting hurt. He came back week 13, got one carry in overtime, and won the game for them. Williams has looked good, and here's the thing. Most people are just going to assume that Williams is going to hold on to that job, but I'm not so sure because let's not forget when Jones and Williams were both healthy, when Montgomery went down, it was Jones that they turned to. So it will be interesting to see how this figures out and how things go moving forward, but I would not be surprised if they go back to Jones. And for that reason, if you own Williams and you're counting on him, I would try to scoop Jones on your team just in case, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to Jones. Let's not forget how good he was when he got his chance to start. Moving on to a couple more. Peyton Barber I want to talk about, only on 5% of leagues. He looked really good. He was kind of a surprise start. I thought they would give the start to Rodgers, but they went with Barber. He looked good, and he had a lot of volume. It's going to be interesting to see what happens once Martin comes back. That's why I have him this low, just because it's a little bit of uncertainty there. But he played well enough, I feel like, where you got to pick him up in deeper leagues. And then Tion Green I want to talk about with Detroit. 11 carries, 51 yards, and a touchdown. With Amir Abdullah out, he got a chance to get some carries. Theo Riddick's still in the way, but I wanted to talk about him more for keeper and dynasty leagues. This is a guy that could be an interesting pickup long term. I don't really think Abdullah's the answer for them. They've given him plenty of chances, and he's only looked okay. Green's interesting. We'll see how he does moving forward. Before we get into receivers, shout out to our FanDuel winner, Charlie Hotel. Took it down week 13. Don't forget to get in our game if you haven't already. It's a $5 game. If you win, you get the t-shirt, you get the cash like you would in any other game. It's a lot of fun. Sign up for FanDuel if you haven't already. Click on the link in the description. It's a good time. Wide receiver, let's talk about D.D. Westbrook. Jacksonville's offense has started to get things going a little bit. Westbrook's slowly getting more and more involved, and I don't hate their schedule down the stretch. They do have Seattle next week, but then they have Houston and then at San Francisco. So he's going to have some chances to have some decent games down the stretch. I want to talk about Mike Wallace with Baltimore, only on 40% of leagues. He's had a couple good games out of his last 3, and Baltimore has been getting their offense going a little bit as of late as well. So, Baltimore was an offense that we liked coming into the year. We thought they added some nice weapons, but they just couldn't get it going. But now they have Woodhead back. Collins is playing well. Flacco looks to be more healthy. So Wallace could be interesting down the stretch. 4 more for you. Curse with the Jets. That Jets offense has certainly been one of the biggest surprises this year, and Curse has been pretty solid the last couple of weeks, and I do think he does have some upside. It's still scary putting him in your lineup, but I think he does have flex appeal from here on out. And I want to talk about Ryan Grant with Washington. Pryor out of the way has obviously helped guys like Crowder, but Grant's also been getting onto the fantasy map as well. He found the end zone week 13, so he's certainly someone to put on the radar. And then Cole with Jacksonville is another guy that I kind of like, only owned in 5% of leagues. I mean, they're really getting their young receivers involved, with Hearns and Robinson out. And Cole found the end zone week 12 or week 13. So he's another guy that, just benefiting from that Jacksonville offense playing a little bit better. Moving on to quarterbacks, stick with Jacksonville. Blake Bortles, the guy's been on a tear the last couple of weeks. And like I said before, he's got Seattle next week, but then Houston, and then he's at San Francisco. So not the worst schedule down the stretch. Bortles, 2 QB leagues. I think he's a legit potential starter for you. And then Case Keenum, only on 45% of leagues. That Minnesota team just keeps doing it. They have been very impressive this year. They're at Carolina, then they got Cincy, then they're at Green Bay. So again, not the worst schedule for Keenum down the stretch. I don't mind him in 2 quarterback leagues, or really deep 1 QB leagues. Tight end, Seals Jones. I want to talk about him with Arizona. Again, ever since Gabbert's taken over for them, he's been a favorite target. Not a huge game week 13, but he was involved. He was getting targeted. And I think at this point, he has a decent floor, and he's still got that high ceiling if he can find the end zone. So I don't mind Seals Jones moving forward. And then David Njoku found the end zone week 13. He's been getting more involved as of late. His targets have been pretty consistent, only on 5% of leagues. Deeper leagues, if you're searching for a tight end, I don't mind him. Then I got 3 pick up and play defenses for you. Cincinnati only on 35% of leagues. They have Chicago. That should be a decent matchup for them. Then Green Bay, only on 35% of leagues. They're going up against Cleveland. I mean, pretty much any defense that plays Cleveland, if they're not owned in 90% of leagues, is going to be in this video. So Green Bay, I don't mind. And then Buffalo, only on 20% of leagues, at home against Indy. I don't love that one, but if you're really not liking your matchup, I think that is a decent play. Indy they give up a lot of points to opposing defenses. So while Buffalo's D has kind of been on the decline as of late, I think with the matchup against Indy, they could score some points for you. So that's week 14 waiver wire. The playoffs are here. We're loving this time of year. If you got questions, post them in the comments of this video. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Good luck in the playoffs.